welcome to From Russia with Love. I'm Minnie Dlamini Jones. What a week of football it has been. We saw the power of the 12th man when Mexico took on giants Germany in an unexpected victory. And that's what this tournament is all about. Which team shows up on the day to collect the points that will get them through to the next round. Now, of course, I can't be in Russia without getting my hands on an authentic Russian hat. We caught up with hat designer who exclusively shared her process with us.
Ну, когда-то началось с того, что у меня был магазин, и мы просто продавали меховые головные уборы.
This all started when I had an ordinary shop selling hats, even though I had a degree in design.
Мы понимаем, что мы не можем удовлетворить покупателя. Недостаточно.
We reached a point where we realized that we weren't catering to our customers' needs as we had a limited range to offer.
Именно производством головных уборов, именно тем, что мне нравится.
Thankfully, as a result of that, we started to produce our own hats. That was 20 years ago. I went from retail to production and started creating hats that I liked. We started to create our own identity that used influence from other cultures. I love the turban. We tried to combine mink with different types of furs and used different colors such as African, which I really prefer.
Именно африканские расцветки, и у нас появились очень яркие головные уборы. Что для изготовления головного убора изначально мы берем мех, смотрим, смотря какой завес.
For the production of the hat, we identify the type of fur that we have. For example, is it fluffy, mink or caracal?
В сложности наших заказов мы делаем не более 15 головных.
I have a staff of 8 people in my factory and we can produce 15 hats a day.
Чтобы создать такой нестандартный головной убор, много приходится смотреть.
We have a really long process of production because to create unique pieces, we have to use different techniques.
Затем, если мы делаем ее на форме, то мы забиваем на форму.
Usually we use mink, caracal and marten, and we start by cutting them.
То есть разбиваем полотно по лекалу. Ставим его в сушилку, высушиваем его.
Sometimes we have to use a foam, so we hammer the material onto the foam to take shape.
По лекалу делаем надсечки. And
if we don't use the foam, we use patterns to cut the fur into the shape. The next stage is to stitch the pieces together. Thereafter we go to the stage 3, which is the decoration. This is the most time-consuming part of the process. This is when each hat gets its own unique identity.
Придает им какое-то настроение, придает им стиль. Поэтому, наверное, самое главное – это именно отделка. Ну, как бриллианты у женщин. Такая отделка на головном уборе. Давайте я вам сейчас измерю ваш танк. Кепка такая.
Okay, girl, I see you. Regalia. This is my favorite. Like I die. This is so cute. I'm Russian. So now you've seen exactly what goes into creating an authentic designer Russian hat. The best part of today, though, is that I get to go home with my very own piece of Russia. Is this it? Spasiba. Let me have a look. Oh my goodness. I am definitely going to be the envy of every South African woman this winter.
There's so many ways in which you can see the city of Moscow. You can do it by metro, you can do it by bus, you can do it by driving around in your car. But what we have chosen to do is to see the city of Moscow by walking around. So we are taking the walking tour. And guess what, guys? It's absolutely free. The 2-hour-long walking tour kicks off at the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, a Russian Orthodox cathedral on the northern bank of the Moscow River. With an overall height of 103 meters, it is the tallest Orthodox Christian church in the world. The current building is a rebuild of the original church, built during the 19th century. It took more than 40 years to build. It was destroyed in 1931 on the order of Soviet leader Joseph Stalin.
Our beginning point, the Cathedral of Christ the Savior, was created in that place in 1863, but then was destroyed and demolished under special order of Stalin, who wanted to send a clear message to Soviet citizens and people of the world that Soviet Union done with the religion. But again, when Soviet Union wasn't feeling itself so well and religion was allowed to come back and participate in Soviet citizen lives, Russian Orthodox Church started a public campaign of raising funds with the whole goal of recreating the cathedral. And the first construction work started in 1995, and they finished them in 2000. So we can say that on one hand the cathedral is quite young, but again it completely repeats the original cathedral which stood in that place before.
The tour then moves on to the largest museum of European art in Moscow, the Pushkin Museum. The building, constructed in 1898, was designed by Roman Klein and Vladimir Shushkov.
It's the best museum of Moscow, telling us about art and development of humankind over the course of history, starting from times of ancient Greece and ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, Babylon, medieval times, and ends in the first half of 19th century.
Not too far from the Pushkin, we then saw the biggest library in Russia and the 5th largest in the world for its collection of 17.5 million books.
The Russian State Library, which previously was known as the Library of the Lenin during Soviet times era, and was one of the main important objects proposed for education and self-education of Soviet citizens, since that theme was very important over all years of Soviet Union.
From there, we headed towards the first urban public park in Moscow, the Alexander Gardens. The park comprises 3 separate gardens which stretch along all the length of the Western Kremlin wall for 865 meters, before we paid our tributes to the fallen heroes of the World War.
A special park which was founded with the whole goal of commemorating victory over Napoleon, a memorial complex in honor and memory of all victims of Second World War, especially the most famous Grave of Unknown Soldier and Eternal Flame.
And finally, you can't tour Russia without visiting the Kremlin and the Red Square that was packed to capacity with tourists from all over the world who couldn't wait to share their views on Russia.
People are amazing here, and I think we weren't expecting the scale of the city that we've seen. It's wonderful. Especially today, we've had an opportunity to actually see most of the city, which has been really fun.
It's beautiful, the weather is nice, we have been to the Kremlin, we have been to the cathedral. You have a lot of things to visit and to get to know the culture and everything.
It's one of the greatest cities and capitals in the world, so it's a place that everyone should know.
I can tell you the walking tour is over now, but I'm really sad it is, because as much as it was educational, it was also very interesting as well. Now, the whole thing that we hear about Russia is a misconception, and we are here to correct all of that. If you want to go for your next holiday, watching from the African continent, this is where you definitely want to be. Come on over to Moscow and enjoy the sights and sounds. It's back to you, Minnie.
We're here at restaurant Nikita. Now, what makes this establishment so unique is that it specializes in original Russian cuisine. We're going to meet up with Chef Pavlov, who is very generously going to share one of his recipes with us. Check it out. Russians have a diverse cuisine that has European, Asian, and Siberian influences, resulting from the vast and multi-ethnic expanse of the country. Moscow has a multitude of restaurants that specialize in authentic Russian dishes, and restaurant Nikita is one of them.
Ресторан Никита является русской кухней традиционной.
Restaurant Nikita serves traditional Russian cuisine. Locals and foreigners come to our restaurant because it's difficult to find places that serve traditional Russian dishes.
В Москве немного мест, где можно попробовать эту кухню. Вот, у нас есть самые популярные.
We have very popular dishes such as porridge, pelmeni, and meatballs. Our entire menu has all traditional Russian cuisine.
традиции русской кухни. Кашу у нас можно выбрать не только...
The porridge can be ordered from the menu as is, but we also allow customers to choose their own ingredients as we want to make our clients happy and we put them first.
Пойти на компромисс и приготовить для людей как бы их желание. Сегодня мы будем готовить, каждый занимали очень важное место, не будет как с рыбой, так и с мясом. Сегодня мы будем готовить.
Today we will prepare the porridge with the calf meat and we use traditional wood-fired method. Porridges are traditional meals in Russia and they are prepared with meat or fish with vegetables. This recipe took a long time to develop and we use a specialized oven to prepare it in the way it has been done for many years. Porridge was not only prepared for dinner, it was also served for different celebrations, like wedding or birthdays. We decided to prepare this dish because Nikita is a traditional Russian restaurant.
Для чесночка мы нарезаем средним кубиком, кладем это в горшочек.
We use calf meat and cut into medium-sized cubes to get the best flavor and texture without getting too soft. The vegetables, the onion and the celery are also cut into little cubes. We put these all ingredients into a ceramic pot and add a cup of water. We then put the pot into the wood-fired oven, but not too close to the fire, and allow it to braise. This is done at a temperature of 180 to 200 degrees and cooks for 2 hours. Then we take the pot out of the oven and buckwheat grain and put it back into the fire. Then we wait for the meal to be cooked.
До готовности.
Я считаю, что это ресторан русской кухни один из лучших.
I think that this restaurant is one of the best traditional restaurants in Moscow.
Там где русская кухня, поскольку
I visit these traditional restaurants because I was born and raised in Moscow. I am certainly Russian, and this is the food that I am used to.
Вкус моего детства.
It reminds me of my childhood and the different types of buckwheat that I started eating in the kindergarten and still eat today. It is healthy food because the ingredients are domestic and have a very good natural quality.
По сути, отечественного производства и хорошего качества.
It smells so good, Chef Pavlov. Thank you so much. What an incredible recipe. I'm definitely taking this back home with me to South Africa. But for now, it's bon appetit. It's time for us to take a break, but don't go anywhere. More from Russia with Love.
Hi, I'm Danny Murphy. You're watching From Russia with Love.
Welcome back. You're watching From Russia with Love. Now, my girl Tato has been hard at work exploring the beautiful city of Moscow. Let's take a look and see what she's been getting up to. Such a tough life.
Today, I'm out at the Danilofsky market, or like the Russians call it, the Danilofsky Rynak. This giant former Soviet-era farmers market has today been turned into a sort of hipsters foodie paradise with delicacies from Italy, Spain and Japan. I've been told to try out the Dagestani dumplings and Vietnamese pho bo soup. And because I'm feeling just a little peckish, let's go check it out. This award-winning market is named after Danilovsky Montessori, located near the market, which gained its reputation as a place of trade from the 13th century. In 1986, the construction of the Danilovsky Market Dome was completed, which was in keeping with the general trend at the time of building large agricultural markets in Moscow. Today, the market is booming with more than 300 farmers involved in the supply chain of the market. It also houses 30 restaurants offering cuisines from all around the world.
Well, I have to admit that we were some kind of pioneers in food of food market industry in Russia, because we were the same market who decided to bring a new life to the normal casual markets that you have all around Moscow. So we wanted to have a place that you can call like the most important place dedicated to food in Moscow, maybe in Russia, because we wanted to gather all the different food concepts. So when you come here as a visitor, you have a variety of food that you can enjoy.
We caught up with some of the international chefs who were clearly used to taking the heat in the kitchen.
This restaurant's name is called Indiskaya Tochka. This is Indian restaurant. We making all kind of Indian foods like malai kofta, paneer masala, paneer tikka, paneer kati roll, chicken kati roll, okay, and the spices and all. Spices like garam, masala, all masalas we take import from India, and the vegetables all we only purchase here in this market only.
We use recipes of our mothers and grandmothers. That is what makes our food very unique and tasty, giving them the taste like it is in home. The best seller is Dagestanian chudo. They are very tasty and healthy, unique by its flavor, which we reach by combining with different recipes from families representing all parts of Dagestan.
With so many different nationalities present in Moscow during this World Cup, the Danilovsky market provides the perfect haven for all the visiting foodies.
It's really different in Argentina, the kind of food that we eat. It's not more spicy. That's the word.
The stick, we don't have the stick. We have big knife, you know, for the meat. The stick, well, it's very difficult for our brothers.
Нам привозят продукты из Краснодара, абрикосы с Армении.
We receive products from all over the world: Armenian apricots, cherries from Moldavia, raspberries from Krasnodar. From Uzbekistan we receive watermelons, South African nachis, oranges from Spain. That means that we all are connected with the whole world.
Соединяемся. Все мы должны жить дружно.
A lot of people in Moscow like Danilovsky market because here is a kitchen from different parts of the world. You can find this Mexican food, Indian food, Cyprus food, Russian food, and here is always fresh foods, fresh fruits, berries, different, and here is nice atmosphere. Yes, I'm enjoying, and everybody welcome to Russia.
The idea of the market was to become a touristic attraction anyway for all the tourists that come to Moscow. So now we are kind of happy that this is really happening, because now we have so many tourists. So I'm just happy that they will come home and tell about the market, that I hope they liked it.
From the Thai dragon fruit to the Dagestani chudu, it has been a fulfilling day. We've seen footballing fans from across the world come down to the Danilovsky World Cup to enjoy some worldwide cuisines. And now it's time for me to taste their favorites, the Vietnamese food. Time to dig in.
What you can see behind me is the Nigeria Supporters Club, and that's exactly where they are resident here in the city of Moscow. They've traveled far and wide, all in a bid to show support for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They're also scheduled for a visit to the ambassador here in Russia. We're going to take you through that journey and catch up on their itinerary here in the city of Moscow. I can tell you, it's excitement all of the way. The Nigeria Football Supporters Club, founded over 62 years ago, is an integral part of Nigeria's national team to every major football tournament, officially led by its President General, Dr. Rafiu Ladiko. The club has its members in every part of the world, including a newly established outlet here in Moscow. As a show of allegiance, the club paid a courtesy visit to the Nigerian ambassador to Russia, Professor Steve Ugba, who welcomed its members amidst song and dance. Dr. Rafi Ladipo, clearly elated, spoke to us of his perception of the people of Russia.
Russia is a good place, and the people there are very friendly. Particularly when we went to Kaliningrad for our march. What I saw there was encouraging, because all of them there wanted us. At a point in time, they provided us accommodation for free of charge for 2 nights. And they gave us buses that took us from the stadium to the hotel, back to the airport for free. It's not such a thing will not happen in several countries in the world. Wherever we went, they were following us and they received us so well. For me, I think we should be happy that we came to Russia.
So we're here at the Nigerian embassy in the city of Moscow, and it's time to meet the ambassador alongside the Nigeria Supporters Club, and we're going to go in now and do the official business. So come on. Undoubtedly, members play a huge part in inspiring the Eagles to victory, the 12th man who traveled from far and wide. Members of the club couldn't hide their love and admiration for the people of Russia despite the language barrier.
Yeah, Russia as a country is a very nice country and very well orderly, organized people and rule and regulations. It's a very nice country. Good atmosphere, clean and nice and good weather right now. I think now they're in summertime. It's very good and nice weather actually.
I must say that it's quite encouraging. I've had good times. I've met a couple of friends, and we go around sometime at night in the day, talk to people and talk to people. Unfortunately, they don't understand the language that we understand. They all 80% of them speak Russian language, and I cannot speak the language. So sometimes when I use my telephone to communicate in exchange of language, interpretations, and that is how far. But of course, I must say I've had a good time, and I'm still enjoying my stay in Russia.
Official visit to the embassy here in Moscow over. It's time to go back to base. For the Nigeria Supporters Club, well, their duties continue, and it's majorly all about supporting the Super Eagles of Nigeria in their matches here in Moscow for the FIFA World Cup 2018. Unfortunately as well, we couldn't have a conversation with the ambassador himself as a result of official duty. But before we leave the city of Moscow, we'll try and catch up with him, and we'll bring all of the exclusive for you here on From Russia with Love.
We've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us tomorrow on SuperSport 3 and Zanzi Magic. I'm Minnie Dlamini Jones, and you were watching From Russia with Love. Das Vidanya.